Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Fire Force episode 15. We are back. It has been a while. It's been since October. That was when we put Fire Force on hold, just to kind of avoid, pun intended, burnout. And yeah, I think it was a smart idea. It gave us some time to breathe, and now we're back. We're back and ready to go with more. So, yeah, where we left off, we had just finished off one arc. Teams. Companies 7 and 8 have formed an alliance after a run-in with the Whiteclads that involved basically shape-shifting, misunderstandings, and an attack on the town that Benimaru and his company were protecting. So yeah, him and Obi in the end ended up joining forces and working together with Shinra and everything to, you know, take out the Whiteclads, do their job, and chase them off, basically. And it all ended out pretty well. But now we're going to be moving into a new arc, and as always, I don't know what to expect. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know what we're going to get next. We'll just have to see. But I am happy to be back. I have missed this series. It's a surprisingly good series. Not one that I thought would have been as good as it is. But it is. And so I'm excited to see what more is done with it going forward. And we'll just kind of go from there. There's like 20-something episodes, I believe, in this, so we should be able to do this second half pretty easily. Shouldn't be a problem there. So yeah, let's just get into it, see what this episode 15, has in store for us, and tackle it from that point forward. So when the screen fades to black, pause the redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, two big things of note come from this episode. First off, Company 8 is looking to expand, to gain some more employees for various divisions that they don't really have. First off, we meet, well, re-meet this shifty-ass dude. I can't think of his name at the moment. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Victor Licht. And he is a scientist working for Hajime. And we know he's bad news. Because, like, I swear, like, he was the bad guy. He was the guy, who was changing the faces before. Working with the Whiteclads and everything during the last arc. And so it's like, we just instantly know we can't trust him. He's actively a bad guy. I believe it showed him talking to Joker too. So there's that. But on top of that, although he's very clearly being sent in to spy on the Eighth, because, you know, the Eighth is investigating shit, they're kind of seemingly going to accept him, especially based on the new opening. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this all pans out. But then they decide they not only need that, but they need an engineer. And so we find out that they've been trying to recruit this guy named Vulcan, who is a top-class engineer, like the best of the best, but he's independent. And Hajime, the Fire Force, everyone's been trying to recruit him. So Obi sends Shinra, Arthur, and the sister over to try and recruit him, but to try and do some things very cautiously and kindly and not try to force things, but you know how they are. He sends them over, and they, through talking to him, his self-styled apprentice, and his sort of, you could consider, adopted daughter, we learn a lot about him, and a lot about why he hates Hajime and the Fire Force and refuses to work with them. But it especially comes to a head when the captain of Company 3 arrives, and we basically find out that Vulcan blames them for, specifically Giovanni, for the death of his father and grandfather. And because of that, it explains exactly why he hates Hajime, exactly why he hates the Fire Force. And considering what we saw at the end with Shinra getting his little Idola burst intuition thing, with overhearing, basically like overhearing the command for that Giovanni gave to kill Vulcan, it's like, yeah, it's very believable at this point. Vulcan, meanwhile, seems like just a stand-up dude. He's a good guy who wants to bring back, in a way, all of the hundreds of thousands and millions of species of animals that were wiped out in the Great Cataclysm, all those years and years and years ago. And I mentioned in the reaction, but this is a very different kind of post-apocalyptic world, because the Great Cataclysm very much is just the way it's described and everything. It was a apocalyptic level event. These immense, uncontrollable fires that spread over the entire world and everything. It's like, yeah, that's pretty damn apocalyptic. And although, like, unlike some post-apocalypse stories, this one is very much recovered in a very industrialized way. It still reads that way, and that's really interesting, especially with the lack of species of animals and stuff. Like, just when our crew gets to Vulcan's junk shop and everything, and they see the elephant skull. And it's like, oh, I've read about that in a book. And it's like, that's an elephant, right? And it's like, oh, you don't know what an elephant is. Like, well, or barely know. And it's like, that's kind of sad to think about when you find everything out and all. So it's like, it's some really interesting world building, and definitely adds a lot to this. I wonder if we'll ever find out the cause of the Great Cataclysm, and if we'll ever, if it'll connect to the White Clads or anything else, because it seems like Hajime and the Tokyo Empire and whatnot, everything seems to have very much thrived in the aftermath of this, despite everything. So there's a lot to question with all of this. But yeah, it seems like Vulcan is very much against the idea of joining the Fire Force, even though he seems to acknowledge by this point that they're not like the others. But at the end, again, Shinra kind of feels out the killing intent of Giovanni, and shit's gonna go down. I assume that since they're gonna help Vulcan fight off Giovanni and his men or whatnot, that's going to allow him to see their worth, and that's why he's going to join the Eighth. Though I feel like obviously he's not going to be happy when he finds out that they have a scientist from Hajima at their HQ right now. And fairly so. But we'll see how all that goes. I'm glad to be back with this, though. It's been a while. It's been a few months. So I'm glad to be back with this series. And hopefully it continues to be as good. This was a strong first episode back. So tell me in the comments below what you thought of episode 15 of Fire Force. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.